Hi, you guys. I just gave myself a haircut. I put my this is I'm getting better at this. The reason I've been giving myself a haircut is because Jesus has forbidden me to go to a beautician, and um, and I just thought, wow, Jesus, you expect me to cut my own hair or what? Or I thought maybe he just expected me to grow real long like they did back in the 1800s and put it up in a bun. And I thought, what am I going to do? My hair is just losing its shape and it looks yucky. So I decided to invest in it. This was back in December. I didn't have a comb, so I went and got a comb. I watched a bunch of videos on how to cut hair, and I invested in a cheap, these are not expensive. I bought these at Sally Beauty Supply. These things have been marvelous. So how do I do it? Well, first of all, let me show you what I've done. So this is with my hair. It isn't perfect. If I try to be perfect, I ruin it because I'll end up cutting everything too short. And plus, it's hard to be perfect when you're cutting the back because it's hard to cut the back. So I'm getting better. Um, I like a little bit of layers in here, and that's a real challenge to give yourself a layered cut when you're not a beautician. But this is basically what I do. This is kind of like a layered bob. What I do is first I find my line. So I'll use a mirror, and then I'll look at myself. And like I said, it's not perfect. And what I'll do is I'll put the comb where I want the line to be, like right here. And then I get my scissors and I'll just go right in there and chop. I'll look in the mirror and then I'll go right in there and chop. And it's not going to be perfect because when you're working the back. And then once I find my line, then I establish some layers. You do that by holding the hair vertical. And like I wanted it to start falling right here, so I would hold it vertical and then just cut how far, like if you hold it way out, then you're gonna end up with it up here. Or if you hold, so the trick is when you hold it vertical, it needs to be the same angle every time you pull it all the way across. In other words, you can't do it like one angle here and then like one angle down here. It's got to be the same degrees coming out all the way across, or else it's not going to be even. And then you do that working all the way down. You say, how do you cut your hair? Well, once I find where I want it to be, you see that little bit sticking out there? Then I just go over the toilet and I'll just go like this and cut it right where I got it. Then I'll come back and look at it in the mirror, see how it looks, and then see what else I need to work on. And that's basically how I do the layers. So I work from the top on down, and usually it'd probably be a good idea to like pin this out of your way because you're going to work on these layers separate. So you do the back layers, and one technique that might help you to make it even is I'll go ahead and take this out. Is you can pull this up right here, and then just cut straight across. But I'm not gonna be that much of a perfectionist right now. Like you can pull it right up and then just cut straight across, and then that'll help make it even. But this cut's pretty much established, so I just didn't want to mess with that. So basically, my hair's been growing out, and I've been trying to fix the uneven parts because I'm not a beautician. Okay, so that's the back. Then to do the side layers, first you need to establish your line. So I found the best way to get me to establish a line is just eyeball it and go on both sides. To make it even, you hold the pieces out in front and just make sure that they're even, like this, like this. And if they're not even, then you got to go back and fix it. Though I've learned perfectionism is my death knell. If I get close, just leave it alone, because if I try to be a perfectionist, I end up cutting up everything and I look like I have a butcher cut, like it gets too short, and I don't look good with the overly short hair. The mistake that I made when Jesus first told me to cut my own hair is back here. I cut it way too short, so now it's grown out. And when I do the layers, I make sure that I barely pull it out because I like to have volume back here because I'm kind of flat back here. So what I do is when I you want to angle it parallel to your head, and then bring it down, and then any little bit that sticks out. Now down towards the bottom, you basically I almost have it almost flat next to it. And if I see anything that sticks out, like when I hold it like this and I cut it vertical, and that gives me like what you say, what do you make? I am not going to try to teach you how to cut your own hair because let me tell you, it's hard. But the reason I'm making this video is to say Jesus told me I could not go to a beautician. He said, how do missionaries cut their hair, Gail? I don't know what they do. I imagine maybe they do like me. They botch it the first couple times until they learn how to cut their hair. You know, I actually watched some beautician videos on how to cut hair. So for somebody who's not a beautician, you know, this passes, you know, this passes. So, okay. So I've got myself a bit of a bob here, a layered bob. I did the layers here. Now for the layers for this is kind of tricky. For the side, I've learned, this is a technique that I've learned. You hold it parallel. It needs to be parallel to your face. In other words, you don't want to hold it like this. Parallel to your, right here, right there, parallel. Then you hold it back. It goes as far as you can. And any loose end, and where anything where the line is not even, then I cut. And I do the same thing like this. Hold it parallel. And let's just do it all, working my way all the way through the side. And when I do that, what I get is a layered cut that goes down like this. I do the same thing on this side. And then I've had trouble blending on this side. It's something I'm still working on. It's like I can get the layers here good, but then they don't blend with the back. So I'm still learning how to do that. It's like you do the layers here, but when do you start blend? Right here, the blending part is tricky. It's like, good. So what I do then is I just kind of look in the mirror and say, what doesn't look right? And then I try to go in there and fix it. It just, using the parallel cuts, you know, and so, like I said, I used to be such a perfectionist. I wanted this line to be perfect, and it actually looks bad when it's too perfect. It looks like it's too blunt, like it's not texturized. I don't texturize my ends, and maybe I should, but I figure because it's a layered cut, I don't need to. If it was a blunt cut, I would need to texturize so it wouldn't look, you know, too blunt. So this is the result of me obeying Jesus. He said, no beautician. And I never thought I could teach myself how to give myself a layered bob. But you know what? This is not too bad when you consider. And I could do bangs if I wanted to, but I think I look better without bangs. If I wanted to do bangs, there are like, there are beauticians that put videos online on how to cut hair. And what you do is you'll learn like the techniques. For layers, you always hold it this way. If you want to just cut the ends, then I'm finding for me the best thing is to eyeball it. There is one technique that they use where you put it all back in a ponytail and you cut, but it doesn't work for me. I tried that. It looks so sloppy. I actually get a better cut if I do it the way the beauticians do it, which is, you know, they usually establish their line back here first, and they cut the back layers. No, they establish the line here. Then, yeah, I think then they cut the back layers. Then they eyeball this, and they cut here on the bottom. Then they do their side layers. And so that's basically it. It's not perfect, like I said, but so you might just see, the reason I'm making this video is to say when Jesus tells you to do something, He knows that you can do it. So, now he didn't put it into the Gail commandments not to go to the beautician, but yes, he did actually, because the Gail commandments say, thou shalt, um, food and bills. Where was that? Thou shalt spend money only on food and bills. That means I can't spend money on beautician. Though Jesus said makeup's okay, but then I don't really spend a lot of money on makeup, so that's probably why he doesn't care. Okay, so it's it's not perfect. There's some parts that are kind of uneven, but hey, if you told me a year ago I'd be cutting my own hair and I could make it look at like this, I would have said, you're crazy. It's not perfect. Like this, you can see some little errors in here, but hey, at least I'm obeying Jesus. You say, why won't he let you go to a beautician? Well, part of it is I really can't afford it. And secondly, I have a feeling that lately I've had the worst luck with beauticians. They're all becoming Jesuit beauticians. And what would probably happen to me is I would end up going to the beautician and she would botch my hair. Then I'd have to pay and go to another beautician to try to fix it, and they'd probably botch my hair. Right now, I don't think there's a single beautician in this town that's probably not a Jesuit. So Jesus said, hey, Gail, I know you can learn how to cut your hair, so hey. What I would suggest if you're poor, if you don't have a lot of money like me, or watch videos. There are a lot of beauticians that upload YouTube videos on how to cut hair. Watch those videos and learn the basic principles on how to cut the style you want. Another thing is you need to learn which styles look good for your face and your clothing personality. So if you can get David Kibbe's Metamorphosis and determine what your clothing personality is, he also talks about good hairstyles. I actually have a bit of a classic face, so I look good with like the soft classic style haircuts, which is what this is. And so this looks pretty good on me. So, and then, you're taking your colors into consider. I'm a winter. I need to color my hair, but my natural hair color doesn't look bad on me. So, if you're going to cut your own hair, you got to find the style that looks good for you. And David Kibbe's book Metamorphosis is really good. I think you can still get it. If you determine what your type is, then like whether you're soft, classic, he talks about different hairstyles. So and I have been doing facelift exercises too. So anyways, see, when Jesus tells you to do something, it can be done. Now, he didn't tell me to cut my own hair, but he knew I would learn how to do it. So I did invest in this back in December, and I invested in this, and I invested in some other things to help me with cutting my hair. But those are the two most important things I bought because I use them a lot to cut my hair. So all I can say is just it pays to obey Jesus. Look at this. Now, more than likely, I'm probably giving myself a better haircut than a Jesuit beautician would give to me. And I'm going to get better at this. And maybe in a year, I'll be able to give myself a really snazzy haircut. So the whole point of this video is obey Jesus. He never tells you to do something unless he gives you the ability and means to do it.